Hello, welcome to my series about all Chopin Mazurkas. Today we focus on Mazurka A minor without an opus. Well, in my edition, Ekier National Polish Edition, it has opus 42B. Why without an opus? Because this Mazurka was published in France in a kind of music magazine called Notre, temps, so our times, which contained 6 different pieces, salon pieces. Other composers were Czerny, Rosenbaum, Thalberg, and I don't exactly remember others. But Chopin was invited to write one piece, this one salon piece, but still it is not really a salon piece. He decided to write Mazurka, maybe to show that he's Polish. This Mazurka is not very famous. I'm not sure if you know it very well. I must say, before I started to learn it and prepare it for the recording, I've never heard this Mazurka before in my life. It's very rarely played. And also, in my opinion, it doesn't really sound like Chopin. I have a theory which I want to share with you. But first, let me just play a little bit so that we have the glimpse of the music which I'm going to talk about today. Come back to the beginning, and since this moment nothing is going to change. So as we can see, this is a quite simple music. Definitely Chopin, in my opinion, he didn't need much time to compose this piece. And as I said before, for me it doesn't really sound like Chopin, for many reasons. I was thinking while learning this and preparing for the recording and thinking about it, as I always do, I was thinking what exactly Chopin wanted to achieve in this piece, why he wrote it in such a different way, and what is so different. And I came up with such a theory that if Franz Schubert wanted to write a mazurka, he would write exactly this music. This mazurka for me sounds as if Franz Schubert composed a mazurka. And why? Well, this is probably the only mazurka of Chopin written in the four voices way. We have four voices all the time, as if it's written for the orchestra or for string quartet. It sounds exactly like the music written for the string quartet. And I even think that it would sound even better for a string quartet than on the piano. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I don't like this music. I love this mazurka and I enjoy it very much, and some parts are very Polish, very patriotic. They sound to Polish people very patriotic. But indeed, as I think that most of Chopin's music sounds good only on piano, this is the exception. Let's compare a few pieces by Schubert to see that the way of composing is very similar or is even the same. For example, the very famous sonata B flat major. Right, we have voices, three voices here. This is one example. Another example, for example, sonata G major 894 by Franz Schubert. No accompaniment, just plain chords, as if sung by the choir. Or another sonata A major 664 movement 2. It sounds almost exactly like this mazurka. So this is what I think that inspired Chopin. Of course, I might be wrong, but no accompaniment, only plain chords, one simple melody and four voices playing the same way. Another option, another theory which I have is that Chopin was inspired by some symphonic music, most of all music by Mendelssohn. I recently I was listening to Mendelssohn symphonies, which I love, especially the Italian and the Scottish one, And when I was listening to the Scottish, I was like, oh, it's so similar to this mazurka, the beginning of the Scottish symphony. I play for you now Symphony Number 3 by Felix Mendelssohn, Scottish, just the beginning. So if we compare Mendelssohn to Chopin Mazurka, it could be very easily played by the orchestra, by strings. And it would sound really nice. If you want, just compare, just listen to Scottish Symphony in the original version, and then close your eyes and try to imagine this mazurka played by the strings. Well, I personally take it as an inspiration. When I play this mazurka, I always try to imitate the sound of orchestra. So we have 4 voices, and it's very interesting that voice number 1 and number 3, they are playing the same melody but in the 6th. And the cello So what is here the challenge for the pianist? The challenge for the pianist is to play it as legato as possible and to get the inspiration from the orchestra, from the strings, to have one big line, one line perfectly connected, and we have to play it with one hand. We have 3 voices in one hand. And especially the middle voice is very difficult, because the middle voice, so the second violin, is repeating the same note all the time. So to make legato in the soft dynamic, it's very challenging. And look how simple this music is. We have the 4 bars melody, and then the same melody is written in C major. And again repeated in A minor. So very simple way of composing. Part B, where the melody is in the cello. But there's not only one melody. We have another melody in the first violin. And now another challenge for the pianist. There are many options to perform it. We can show the cello to the audience and hide everything else. But I don't really like this. We can also hide the cello completely, and we can show the first violin with the melody. So listen how it will sound. Another option, a little bit more difficult but possible, is to show both melodies at the same time and to let the listener decide which melody he wants to listen. Let's try to do it. Because it's repeated 2 times, we can also decide that the first time we show the cello, the second time we show the violin. There are many options, and this is something which I like in Chopin's music, that we can decide what we want to do. Now we come to part B, which has some aspects of Polish folk music, but more Polish patriotic songs. There are many Polish patriotic songs which were sung by Polish soldiers during Chopin's time. They are very popular, especially at the time they were very popular. And this fragment, part B, is almost like based on Polish patriotic songs. Especially this melody. It sounds almost, if you know the Polish anthem, then especially here. This is exactly the same. Chopin is extremely inspired. Take this almost and change from 4 to 3, writes a mazur, so the Polish folk dance, and that's the recipe to this piece. Well, of course, it's not that cheap, but still very similar. Another very interesting thing in this part B is that this is like a piece itself. If you understand me well, the composition of this part B is the same as usually the composition of the whole Mazurkas of Chopin. We have the part A, B, and then A again. I show you this now, so that you understand what I mean. I only play part B, but we imagine that this is the whole mazurka. So it starts from A. A repeated. And part and part A. This is the end of the whole part B. So very cute way to make a piece inside the bigger piece. Probably it's the first time we have something like that in Chopin's Mazurkas. So this is something new. And all this, as you can see, is Chopin is very simple, repeating the same motif, rhythmical motif, tam, pa, yam, pa, pam, pa, yam, pa, pam, pa. It's taken from Polish folk dance, mazur. Tam, ta, tam, pa, pa, pa. Except it's still 4 voices. We don't have the dancing rhythm in the left hand, so it doesn't really sound like a typical Chopin Mazurka. It sounds more like Schubert, as I said, or Mendelssohn, or some symphonic music. So I don't know, was Chopin trying to write something to change his musical language, or was he inspired by other music, or it just came to his head like this, or was it simple for him to just write like this without thinking about left hand and the accompaniment and everything? We don't know. But definitely this mazurka is different from all the others. It's more simple. It doesn't really have the melody which comes into our head immediately, but it has some beautiful melodies which can be sung even after listening them a few times. So for me, well, I learned to love this mazurka, if I can say so. And I think if you listen to it a few times, then you will love it as well. So now I play for you the whole thing, so that we can enjoy this mazurka. There are not so many recordings on the internet, so we can just listen to it. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.